Hi, I'm Taylor, and here's a quick video on how I conduct interviews. I've gotten a lot of questions about how I come up with questions for interviews or how I elicit certain answers from a guest for a podcast, a video, or a documentary. And while every case is different, here are 6 things that have helped me in my work, and hopefully they can help you in yours. If you do find what I say helpful, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. All right, let's get to it. Number 1, do your research. Okay, this one should be obvious, but I can't stress its importance enough. You've got to be prepared. Read articles, watch videos, look at their social media posts or websites, listen or watch other interviews of your guest or about your subject before you get a chance to chat. Now, this does not mean that you have to become an expert. Remember, you are not the expert. They are. You are learning from them. You just need to familiarize yourself with who you'll be talking to or what you'll be talking about. And with what you'll learn, you might even impress who you're talking to.
Which one was the most jaw-dropping or impressive to actually see in person?
I think the facts that you have right now are pretty impressive. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that.
Doing your research will have you feeling confident during your interview, and inherently, it'll make your subject more at ease. Like, oh, hey, this person's a pro. Number 2, be intentional with your questions. You want to think about what the purpose of your interview is. Is the goal to learn more about your subject as a person? Is it to get their opinion on a particular subject? Are you interested in something they've done or have accomplished? Defining the goal will help you come up with the right questions. In the news world, there are the basic 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, why, and then how. Okay, 1 H. And it's those last 2, that why and that how, that are the keys to diving deeper into responses from your guest. Why did XYZ happen? How did that make you feel? People want to be checked in on. They want to unburden themselves, for lack of a better term. I found that asking why and how allow the words to kind of come out a little more freely. But as hard as you work coming up with your questions, remember, it's not about your questions. It's about their answers. As a general rule, we're taught to avoid close-ended questions, like ones that can be answered with a yes or a no. However, there are some exceptions.
Did it feel like betrayal when you found out your father was working with the tabloids?
I'm just trying to decide if I'm comfortable even talking about that.
Okay, clearly I'm not Oprah, but we do have something in common. We both use close-ended questions to just see how our guest might respond to them. You can also use close-ended questions if the intention is to follow them up with a why or a how. It will help them expand upon their answer. Typically, that approach is reserved for documentaries or podcasts where the host or narrator is actively involved in the production. But use open-ended questions if the intention is to only have your guest's voice used in the production. But don't let all the do's or do nots, don't let all that get in the way of coming up with questions, because sometimes the best questions are the simplest.
But I tell you this, I never ask questions over 2 sentences long. I watch some of these presidential press conferences that's showing off.
Number 3, making your guest comfortable. Sometimes people can feel intimidated by being interviewed.
Can you cook anything other than burgers?
Yes, lots of things.
Like
paella.
Paella. Tell me how you make that.
Well, I'd have to look up the recipe, but
So you don't know how to make paella?
No, I could make...
Okay, I'm confused because a minute ago you were an expert.
Dad needs media coaching.
Look, I randomly said paella. I didn't mean to.
Oh, I'm going in tight.
Bob, get off paella.
All right, interview's over. Get that camera out of my face.
Whether it's the bright lights or the mic all up in their business, it's not uncommon for your guests to feel a little stressed out with everything going on. So you want to put your guests' nerves at ease. Let them know that it's just a conversation. Keep it super casual. Let them know that it's perfectly okay to start an answer over if they feel themselves stumble, or to take a second to think about the question that you've asked them. Provide a little bit of media coaching. Nothing too intense. Ideally, your guest wants to contain your question in their answer. For example, if I ask you what your favorite flavor of ice cream is, you shouldn't just respond with the name of the flavor. Your response should be, my favorite flavor of ice cream is chocolate, in my case. I mean, that is the best ice cream flavor. You want to check in with your guest once they sit down for your chat. Basically, make small talk without it seeming too trivial. This will get their voice warmed up, as well as provide a natural baseline for you or your sound person to test their levels. Some folks like to have their guests say and spell their name. I personally don't like that, just because there aren't a lot of natural occurrences where someone has to spell out their last name. If your editor needs that information, just send them a document with it written out. It's a lot more clear that way. And lastly, get your guests something to drink. Water, tea, coffee, whiskey, whatever. A small gesture like that goes a long way into making your guests feel comfortable, as well as provide some lubrication for their voice should your interview run long. Like this. Number 4, you gotta adapt. Even if you work super hard on your questions, you gotta be willing to throw them out the window. Because the best thing you can do for your interview is listen.
I'm listening.
You are giving your guest the opportunity to tell their story, so you have to be along for that ride. They may say something you don't expect. Take that chance to dive deeper if that moment comes up. Oh, that's interesting. Why do you say that? Could you clarify what you mean by that? Remember to lean on the why and the how to get them to further explain their answers. Politely do not let them off the hook if they say something you were not expecting, but you find interesting. Don't stress if one of your questions sends your guests off on some crazy tangent or whatever. Like I said, let them talk. If you feel you need them to really focus on the question that you asked, try rephrasing it. Asking again or simply shuffling the words around might elicit a different response from the guest. Okay, so for narrative purposes, if there's a soundbite that you envision that would perfectly encapsulate what your guest is trying to say in a nutshell, but they haven't quite said it in a short amount of words, it's perfectly fine to get them to say or repeat that desired soundbite as long as it's authentic and in line with what your guest has been saying throughout your interview. Number 5. This one might be my favorite. Embrace the silence. As I said before, the best thing you can do during your interview is listen. The second best thing you can do is embrace the silence. After your guest has answered a question, don't feel like you have to rush into what you have to ask next. Let your guest sit in the silence after their answer, and chances are they'll keep talking. Generally, people don't like awkward pauses. So it's likely that your guest will have something else to say in order to avoid that silence. It's not a trick. You're just giving them the time they deserve to say what they need to say. Say what you need to say. Last one, number 6.
Be curious, not judgmental. I like that.
Aside from any specific goal you have for your interview, you should always maintain an attitude of empathy. You should be striving for understanding. Conducting interviews is all about learning. So your demeanor, your questions, your body language, your tone, all of that needs to convey curiosity and not judgment. I guarantee you that you will get the best and most authentic answers using that approach. In that same vein, remember this, and I'm gonna try and paraphrase documentarian Ken Burns here. Apologies if I butcher it. Never treat your guests' emotions as currency. In other words, avoid thinking of a desirable response as gold. Should you be satisfied with a particular answer? Absolutely. But you don't know what your guest has been through in order to have a particular outlook or reaction to something. So internally, don't do them the disservice of treating what you want out of them as something valuable to be exchanged for your own purposes. Okay, so to be clear, these are not the only things you need to know about interviews, nor are they hard and fast rules. These are just the things that have proven helpful to me in my work, and I hope that they prove to be helpful to you in yours. So what else do you want to know? Is there anything I missed? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this video informative, please hit the subscribe button to stay up to date. And if you want to help support the stuff I make, please consider becoming a patron. You'll find that link in the description below. Anyways, thanks for watching and best of luck on your next interview. First video.